Are we good? Okay. All right. Hello, everybody. We are live from Chicago at the DNC. Shout out to all of our friends at Barstool Sports for allowing us to use the studio, specifically my man Eddie at the Dog Walk podcast. Everyone, if you are a fan of Chicago sports, go subscribe to the Dog Walk. Show everybody here at the Barstool Chicago office some love. They've been very, very kind to us, and we are incredibly grateful as we continue our DNC live coverage. So we're going to go ahead and get going. We're going to go over some of the topics and all the other fun things. We do have some video from Crystal that we will be including in the show. Don't worry, everybody. She will be on the show tomorrow here live from Chicago on Wednesday and then on Thursday as well. So everybody stay tuned for that. We are, of course, running a promo right now, 1 month free trial, DNC free, breakingpoints.com, where you can sign up to become a premium subscriber. You're going to want to be, I think, a premium subscriber right now because not only get to support all of our work, but we are going to be taking questions throughout this entire live stream. Probably every time we do a topic, we'll take them from our premium subscribers on locals, and so we'll be incorporating them into the show. Producer Mac is on the switchboard. This is a quite fun experience for all of us because we've got the producer cam. Mac, can you show yourself? Can you show yourself?
Do it, yeah.
Yes.
It's like Wendy Williams.
Look at him. Look at him. Can we do a couch shot? Is that possible? Can we show Griffin? There he is, Griff. There he is. Give him the yeah, I love it. So you guys can meet the entire crew. Griffin is here after tremendous flight difficulties.
He could have walked.
Shout out to Griffin.
Train. It was a plane.
We are
trains, and automobile.
so happy that he is here. All right, why don't we go ahead and get started? So, like I said, breakingpoints.com. Take advantage. DNC free if you want to support the channel. Let's go ahead and begin with President Biden's big speech, of course, that happened last night. Now, one of the major stories to come out from the speech is not just the speech content itself, but the time that it went on. All of us were up very, very late last night. I guess shout out to Ghost Energy for powering us right now. Well, I promise we're not even getting paid. These are just so good.
Insane.
We're the suckers, apparently.
Also, you get a certain percentage of 4 daily vitamins. 100% of 4 daily vitamins.
Incredible
I mean,
Ghost Energy. I mean,
can't beat it.
What else could you ask for? Right?
I'm not gonna have orange juice ever again.
Let's get serious. Let's talk about the DNC and this speech timing. Matt, could you go ahead and put the A1 element and load that up, please, up on the screen? Thank you very much. So what you can see in front of you is that President Biden did not take the stage until some 10:46 p.m. here in Central Time, which means he was officially past prime time. So here, what the media reporters over at the Times are saying is that ABC, CBS, and NBC News all planned to continue their live coverage of the convention past that scheduled 11 p.m. cutoff, but the later it gets, quote, the smaller the overall TV audience will be. A development that, quote, may irk his allies in the party. And that very much was the case. If we want to go ahead and put A2, please, up on the screen, Mac. Just to explain to everybody, of course, we're on Central Time here. It's traditional that the candidate's speech, the flagship speech, is supposed to happen in prime time, right, Ryan? Mm-hmm. And the longer that things were continuing, it was very clear that this was a massive snub and humiliation of Joe Biden. His own his own farewell at the Democratic National Convention is now overshadowed by people who are like Kamala's 4th grade friends who talked about driving to school. And, they had, who else? Like random congresswomen and others, Emily, as we were all watching it live together. Here we have that text to Alex Thompson from a longtime Biden aide, quote, "This is awful. He literally set up a campaign and handed it over to them. Do they have to cut him out of prime time?" So if anything, one of the major stories before Biden even speaks, Emily, is that Joe Biden is kicked into 11:30 p.m. or so East Coast time before he even begins his, 1 hour long speech to the convention. So just talk to us about that dynamic. What did you think of that?
Well, and they also started the night. This was supposed to be Biden's night. His daughter's speaking.
Yes.
His wife is speaking. They started the night with Kamala Harris.
Right.
So Kamala Harris got electric response, and Ryan can maybe tell us more about that because he was literally in the arena, but she came out as a surprise. Right. And to do that on Biden's night, I actually think is pretty interesting. Obviously, they're trying to bookend the convention with Kamala Harris, but this is the sitting president. This isn't just any old incumbent. So it steals a little bit of the thunder. And then I also have to say there's some conspiratorial stuff bouncing around about how Dems intentionally pushed Biden, shoved him into the corner, stuffed him late at night. I think maybe the bigger story, we're going to talk about this a couple of times in today's show, is that this is a very poorly managed convention.
Yes, that's right.
They had to cut, this is what tells me that more than anything. They had to cut freaking James Taylor, who they did not want to have to go backstage and be like, bro, we're yanking you. Like, they didn't want to have to do that. They did the same thing to former DNC chairwoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz.
Right.
They were at the last minute scrapping people who had big speeches that were supposed to be in primetime, or musical acts that were supposed to be in primetime. So I don't think it was any grand conspiracy. I think they're just really flubbing it so far.
What do you think, Ryan?
Not sure you're right on James Taylor. So Taylor played at the Inflation Reduction Act ceremony.
Oh, true. Who amongst us forgot about
I was at that ceremony, and I said to the reporter next to me,
inflation went down.
I was like, is that James Taylor?
Yeah.
It's like 2:00 on a Tuesday.
Right.
You're sitting around. Don't you have jobs?
Huh?
You're sitting around listening
Why
to James
not?
Taylor. So my point there, that sounds like a Biden invitation to James Taylor. Like, he must really love James Taylor. And he seems like the kind of boomer that would like James Taylor. So to cut James Taylor is actually a snub at Biden, less than it is Democrats being like, oh no, we really need James Taylor on there. I bet there are a ton of the operative class back there who are doing the organizing who are like, this was a sop to Biden. And you know what? Who cares about Biden anymore?
Right. That's right.
We're screwing him everywhere else. Let's also yank Biden. Like, so they had Warnock speaking, they had Chris Coons speaking, they had
Warnock's speech, which was genuinely right, Emily. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Speaker.
It was fine. It was definitely a good speaker. But Warnock's speech is happening during primetime. Right?
Yeah.
Warnock's speech is now going up until the 11 p.m. mark on the East Coast, and he's not cutting down his remarks. He's not taking time cues. Yeah. It was very obvious, I think, that this was an intentional move. So, really? Mac, could we do A3, please, if we could put up there on the screen? This was the official response from the Harris-Walz campaign. It's a ridiculous and a silly suggestion, the idea that the DNC disrespected President Biden. So their explanation for all of this is that that there was so much raucous applause in the room that they happened to go 90 minutes late. That's just simply not possible. I mean,
you can't plan for applause at a convention.
I'm parroting like Nate Silver and a few others who were like, guys, if you believe that it was not an intentional snub or effort by the Harris people to create some plausible-ish scenario where Joe Biden, the most unpopular president in like modern times, is pushed out of primetime, and people are like, oops, I guess I have to watch Governor Andy Beshear and all these other cogent with it Democrats talk about abortion. He's like, you're an idiot. This is very obviously an intentional suggestion.
Or you believe Democrats are just incredibly incompetent.
Well, I also believe
that's what I believe.
I think it could be a confluence of those two events. But okay, go ahead.
But so then they're scrambling at the last minute to get rid of speakers that they'd planned to have. So like DWS and James Taylor and whomever else. Like, that's the part that I just don't believe. I'm really on the side of the incompetence here. I think they wanted to get Biden out of the way on Monday. No question about it. They want to forget about him for the rest of the week as energy momentum builds towards Kamala Harris's speech. Biden is literally going off to Santa Barbara. So he's not going to be anywhere near this thing. They won't have the stink of Biden on anymore. I think they wanted to do that. I don't buy that it was... I don't know. I'm sorry, Nate Silver. I'm sorry, Saagar and Jeffy.
Maybe you're right. Listen, maybe I'm just a little bit too conspiratorial. So I guess all of that is a lead up to what was a very long speech, guys. I mean, how long was it? It was about 55 minutes, I think, on the clock. It was very long. I mean, he did okay. Like, he had a few old man moments. And
I think he looked the worst that we've ever seen him.
He didn't look good. Yeah,
physically,
he
physically
looked frail. It was late. I didn't look particularly good either. I was tired.
Jet lag flying to Atlanta. Chicago.
That's right. I mean, I think I tweeted that, and I was like, Biden, famously, who has never crashed and burned after 9 p.m., will now take the stage roughly around 10:30 p.m. I was like, what could go wrong in terms of them setting him up for, I guess, success or failure? Well, he lived up to some of his old reputation. He was kind of yelling a little bit into the camera. He tried to get very animated. He got a lot of thank you, Joe chants. So, Mac, why don't we go ahead and queue up? We've put together kind of a highlight reel for everybody. So I'll continue to just set it up. There we go. All right, Mac, let's go ahead and take a listen.
I ran for president in 2020 because of what I saw in Charlottesville in August of 2017. Extremists coming out of the woods, carrying torches, their veins bulging from their necks, carrying Nazi swastikas, and chanting the same exact anti-Semitic bile that was heard in Germany in the early 30s. Neo-Nazis, white supremacists, the Ku Klux Klan, so emboldened by a president then in the White House that they saw as an ally. They didn't even bother to wear their hoods. I could not stay in the sidelines, so I ran. Because I had no intention of running again. I just lost part of my soul. But I ran with a deep conviction. In America, I know and believe in an America where honesty, dignity, decency still matter. Women are not without electoral. Folks, I've got 5 months left in my presidency. I've got a lot to do. I intend to get it done. It's been the honor of my lifetime to serve as your president. I love the job, but I love my country more. I love my country more.
All right, there we go. So that was our highlight reel. We tried our best to cut together. To be honest, my assessment of the speech, Emily, is it was pure grocery store list. It was very much like Biden's last State of the Union. There was just check mark, check mark, check mark, check mark. Oh, got to talk about unions. Got to talk about NATO. Got to talk about ceasefire. Got to talk about
Kissinger.
getting Henry Kissinger, calling and complimenting him 10 days before he died, which was funny. What else? I mean, nothing stuck out to me other than him literally being snubbed, it being, frankly, a long farewell.
Yeah.
It was obviously well received by the enthusiastic crowd. Lots of thank you, Joe chants that he was giving out. He gave shout outs to unions and a few other things. He tried to paint a optimistic portrait of a country that he is handing off for improvement to Kamala Harris. That was my overall take. What did you think?
You know, that's an interesting point because it reminds me of when Donald Trump had to deal with Make America Great Again in 2020, right? He went with Keep America Great.
That's right.
CAG.
That's right. Yes, CAG.
That's what it ended up being.
Awful slogan.
So it's something you always have to do as an incumbent. But Kamala Harris has started this dramatic economic policy rollout that we talked about yesterday. Like, she's trying to move really far away from Biden and remove herself from the unpopularity of the Biden-Harris administration. So it's interesting that Biden, and I think you saw a little bit of cope from Hillary Clinton last night, too.
Massive. We will get to that. Don't worry.
Right, of course. Well, we have to because it was really something. But so the other thing, when you're talking about the grocery list, he, of course, spent a significant amount of time on Charlottesville, as he always does when he's talking about his kind of genesis as a serious presidential contender, which he ended up being in 2020. And the other thing I wanted to mention is towards the end of the speech, he talked about how it's something that Jill Biden had said too. She said when she was kind of introducing Ashley Biden that his love for the country was so great that that's why he stepped down. Right. He addressed it so vaguely. Yeah. Right. There was no details. He really did
not go into it at all.
No, there were no specifics. Right. It wasn't like I was sitting at home, thinking about how much I love this country and decided to step down. It was really just a super vague nod to this dramatic, historic, unprecedented decision that he'd made just in the last month. And that was it.
What did you think, Ryan? So you were in. So just to explain a little bit of the logistics, Ryan was actually on the floor because he's a print journalist and they have different privileges than us radio TV folks. Tell us a little bit about Ryan. Color. You were in the stage. Hold some of the protest conversation because we will get to that in a little bit.
The crowd is super fired up.
Yeah.
Like you can feel the energy in a way that you couldn't at some previous conventions. When Kamala Harris came out, as you mentioned, I was actually in the hallway and heard this just absolute like explosion coming from inside the arena, and popped my head in and said, oh, there's Kamala on the stage, and the place is just rocking. But it was also rocking for Joe Biden for like 7 minutes or so. I feel like maybe 5 minutes of like just sheer expressions of love and support for Joe Biden. Yes. But you get the sense that a significant amount of that is like release of like satisfaction, joy that he's not running.
Absolutely.
Like if he were giving his speech as claiming the renomination, I don't feel like that you'd get the same 5 minutes.
Did you guys notice that he was not liking the "Thank you, Joe" chants?
Yeah.
That he really...
It's like, thank you for stepping down.
Because thank you for stepping down. Yeah. Exactly right.
Yes.
I had the exact same take, or I was like, interesting. Yeah. Every time "Thank you, Joe" broke out, he was not having it. He was not happy.
And the "We love you,"
right? "We love you" was very different. That was like, okay,
but it also comes across in a similar way. Like we love you for the selfless act that you performed.
Exactly.
Of not running for
which he does not talk about. Which is, again, I mean, this is the craziest part. And I'm so glad that you brought that up because I didn't even have that in my notes. The level of detail for why he's stepping down was 0. It was, here is why I've done an incredible job. Yep. Every once in a while, I will say, thank you, Kamala, too. Thank you, Walz. And then he's like, gotta go out there and, you gotta vote for Tim Walz. And then roughly around 1 a.m. local time, he gets on a plane and now he's in Santa Clara, California. Yeah. And he's on literal vacation.
And he's out. He won't be presiding over the convention like Kamala Harris. Right. He won't be in the box looking at anyone, clapping, doing interviews, talking to delegates. He is out, and they want it that way. No question about it.
And as we have tried to highlight, one of the things, guys, that we talked a lot about yesterday is that they put the most unpopular people up on the stage tonight, or last night. So they had Hillary Clinton, AOC, and Joe Biden. So we don't have any, actually, I think Crystal talks a little bit about AOC, so I'll leave it to her. I personally don't really understand why the pundits were like raving about her. Ryan, if we want to give our brief take here, like
raving about who?
About AOC. I was like, she gave a very standard Democratic speech and was like cogent.
I think
what are we doing here?
I think it's because the pundits are very pleased that
she's a Democrat.
Here's the left wing of the party up on stage.
Right, she's a good Dem.
And Sean Fain also ran as like an insurgent.
Right.
Up on the stage, Sean Fain didn't even mention Gaza, which is a big thing that the UAW has been pushing Biden on. AOC did become like, I think, maybe the only or at least the first person to mention Gaza, but did in a way that ticked people off by saying,
well, she said Kamala is working
tirelessly towards a ceasefire.
And we were all, producer amazing. Mac was like, what? Like, I audibly was shocked when she said that. We were all watching it.
It's a very classic way of, everybody sees what's going on there.
Yes.
Yeah.
I totally.
So I think that's why the pundits liked it, because they're like, cool, we're all on the team now. The band is together. Now let's rock and roll and go beat Trump.
I honestly, I mean, let's give a little bit of our assessment. What do you think in the hallways? People were happy, and even the ceasefire delegates. So just a little bit of color. The ceasefire delegates are all wearing T-shirts to say "We're ceasefire delegates." People are not treating them badly or anything. Now we'll get to how they treated actual protesters, but that's a different story. Go ahead.
And just a question for Ryan: could you talk a little bit about what kind of person is a Democratic delegate here at the convention? Because it's a little bit different than Republicans. So what's the makeup of the people that are actually in the arena?
I mean, if you're in a major city and you're a delegate from Chicago, actually any major city, then you're more likely to be a party operative / machine type figure, probably a lawyer, somebody who's like involved in party politics in a way that influences your profession. If you're a delegate in the suburbs or in a rural area, you are a party activist. You are a diehard
county party.
You love Democratic Party politics. It makes up your entire social life. You're committed. This is your thing. And you are probably a middle class, like a normal person, except for the fact that you are like a hyper partisan person. And this is the social life that you've chosen.
Yeah, you really did feel like real fangirl energy for a lot of the Democrats. Like we watched, remember Mark Kelly in the hallway? I mean, it's like he was like Jay-Z or something. Yeah. Like, I've never seen anyone.
Mark Kelly?
I've never seen anyone greet a United States senator.
Parasocial relationship.
Yeah, it was very odd.
But they have to pay their own way.
Yeah,
like
true.
These people, like, they're regular people who just, this is their thing, and they just deeply care. Which is different than the plaintiff's attorney who lives in Chicago, so I'm a Democratic Party activist because, like, I need the party to be favorable to me and my professional
Any
life.
last thoughts here? Because we want to talk about Pelosi as well.
Well, I was just going to ask about the changes to superdelegates. Are there still a mix of
radically shrunk down?
Okay.
But those people are still here,
Right.
Got it.
and
No,
they
they're
still get
definitely
this.
there.
They still get the
we
same
saw it
badges.
And, we could see some of the VIP host, the
Sure.
cloakroom areas and all that. Those were down in the basement.
The
recall.
rainbow of hierarchy.
They looked nice.
Different badges.
It looked nice in there.
Yeah.
It certainly did.
You get a golf cart.
let
if you're a
Saagar
big
in.
enough
Get a golf
donor.
cart.
Yeah.
That's right.
He'll wear a tux.
That's right. As long as you're wearing tuxes, I'm totally fine with the superdelegates, of course. Let's go ahead and get to Nancy Pelosi on CNN, also throwing some shade at Biden, because it was ironic that at the same time that she's the one probably more responsible than anybody else for getting him out of the race. His own former campaign manager, Anita Dunn, confirms this. They've been in a war of words in the most bitchy way possible.
Yep.
Where they're like, some people didn't want to give him the benefit of the doubt. Well, Nancy Pelosi is asked about this in a CNN interview very briefly before actually taking the floor of the convention. Matt, can we go ahead and cue that up, please, just so the audience can take a listen? Let's go and play it.
It does seem like there's some residual bad blood or resentment, and I'm wondering if you've spoken to him and what your response is to that.
Sometimes you just have to take a punch for the children.
And that's what you're doing right now? You're just going to take the punch for the children?
Who's punching right now?
I don't know.
Anita Dunn said...
I didn't even hear this.
Yeah,
I'm just hearing.
It was an interview with me.
Maybe he's throwing the punch. I don't know.
No,
I'm not. I would never. But
she
Anita,
said she doesn't want to fight.
nobody wants to have a fight with Nancy Pelosi at this time.
Well,
is my
you
point.
know what?
Have you talked
I
to
have
him?
to
Is my
do
only
what
question.
I have to do.
Right.
He made the decision for the country. My concern was not about the president. It was about his campaign. As he has seen the exuberance, the excitement that has come forth in our country. I just did an event for one of our members in Illinois, Eric Sorensen, today. Immediately, he got 1,100 volunteers into his campaign as soon as that announcement was made.
Nobody is questioning the fact that the Democratic Party seems much better positioned right now than it did 4 weeks and 2 days ago. There's no question about that. Former Speaker Pelosi.
So why are we even talking about it?
Yeah, why are we even talking about how you literally forced the president out of the race? Are you
He's
kidding
dead.
me?
Why are we talking about him?
No, that's it.
That was, but there was something kind of deeply sick about it because she not only is responsible for it, but we were all joking this morning. There's a video, I think Griffin sent it to all of our chat, where she's also pictured literally holding and chanting, "Thank you, Joe," on the floor of the convention when she... I guess it is cognizant, and that's part of why Biden doesn't like the chant so much, is because it's like, yeah, thank you for listening to me and getting out of here.
Yeah.
We put you out to pasture. We basically forced you out. And there was not, that was the other thing that drove me crazy about the Jill Biden speech. There was no, high-minded stuff going on here. It was the donors pulled your money. You held on till the very last minute, and you're obviously bitter.
And now you want a pat on the back.
Yeah, that's
now
right.
you want a pat on the back for being such a patriot.
Right. Yeah.
Give me a break.
Yeah. Come on. All right. Ryan. Last thoughts on Biden before
Well,
we move on.
Pelosi has a book out on power.
True.
It just came out. I desperately want to read this book.
I have a copy. I can give you one. Jillian bought one at Costco. I was like,
if she's
they
not
have it
gonna
at
read it.
Costco. So
And
you know that people
they have it at a Northern Virginia Costco.
At a Northern
Steal it
Virginia
from her.
Costco.
Probably flying off the
And
shelves.
it probably is flying off the shelves. Let's be honest.
Biden should read it. Nobody understands power like Pelosi.
True.
And to understand power at that depth, you have to have some level of sociopathology.
Absolutely.
Or almost taking delight in being able to wield it.
Mm-hmm.
Honest to goodness, we need a mini series, Game Change style, about Nancy Pelosi pushing Joe Biden out of office.
Oh,
That would be
absolutely.
HBO.
Well, look, Mark Halperin was right. He had the scoop.
He was the guy.
Yeah,
That's such a good point.
He did have the scoop. So maybe we should get him to. We should maybe get him.
We'll premiere it.
Premiere it
on Breaking Points.
Hey, if you like that video, hit the like button or leave a comment below. It really helps get the show to more people.
And if you'd like to get the full show ad-free and in your inbox every morning, you can sign up at breakingpoints.com.
That's right. Get the full show. Help support the future of independent media at breakingpoints.com.